Let's give it a minute or two, let everybody get in here.
This meeting is being recorded.
Smaller group than usual today. Oh, that's right. That's right. A couple of weeks ago, these workshops, we used to go live in both school communities, and now we have limited certain workshops, specifically this one geared toward DaaS, only toward our paying clients. So we also have the other free community, which I forgot those guys no longer have access to these workshops, which certainly makes sense why we have a little less turnout, but that's actually a better thing to work with, you guys on a closer capacity. Um, and I think by letting some of the people that weren't yet either a member into a DaaS program or any Audience Lab package or into the platform, probably confuse them a little more to go through these type of workshops anyway. So that's why we, moving forward, and I covered this really briefly last week. Certain workshops are just for the free community, and the paid community gets access to all the workshops and the more intensive and exclusive ones for, DaaS clients. So as you guys know, my area of expertise and what I do on these sessions, this is the DaaS sales workshop. So I cover everything, revolving the sales, the pricing, pitches, questions on that stuff, all the way back to even the marketing, messaging, angles, and hooks. And that's kind of the areas within the company that that I work with, the departments that I run, and what I'm here to train on and give support. And always, we're going to do some Q&A on this as well for anybody that wants me to cover anything specifically. So that being said, within this community now that we only stream or do the workshops to our paid community, we really only have kind of two different tiers of clients. We have our Incubator program, and then we have our DaaS clients. Now, Incubator, again, just to clarify the difference, I know we always have new people on the call, and I usually get asked, what's the big difference? Now, generally speaking, there's always going to be outliers to this, but the DaaS agencies are usually people that sign up and right away want to resell this. They already have existing clients, or they want to take it to new clients and offer this, whether it's their kind of their core deliverable, whether they're bolted onto their existing expertise and intellectual property or whatever's in their offer, and they really want to resell. Now, the Incubator, we get a lot of people that come in to resell, and that's kind of a stepping stone into DaaS, because within Incubator, you're really only able to work with or sell to about 1 or 2 clients with the amount of data you get. You get 4 lists per month within Incubator, 2 B2B and 2 B2C. And with the majority of the clients we work with and resell, on average, again, there's always going to be more or less, but on average, I use about 2 lists per client per month. So if I'm in Incubator and I have access to 4 lists per month, that really only allows me the ability at most to work with 2 clients, which still isn't a bad thing. If we can sell data lists and we have access to 4 lists and we can sell them to a couple different clients for just kind of a base premium of $500 per list pulled, you can make a 4-to-1 ROI each month just off your Incubator, right? You pay about $500 for that program, $497, whatever it is, and sell 4 lists each month. And then there you go. You can make a big ROI just doing it that way. What most people do in Incubators, they join that to either test out the data for themselves in their own brand, maybe use it in one client's campaigns or go sell it to one client, make a little revenue off of that, and then jump into one of our DaaS tiered programs. As I would say, we would rather see you guys do that out of profit rather than out of pocket. So if your objective was join Incubator, understand how to use the data, understand how to go sell it to 1 or 2 clients, make a little money, and then upgrade out of profit, that's certainly an attainable thing. And I've seen quite a few people, probably a couple of people on this call, have done it that way. But again, DaaS is really more geared toward reselling. And the big difference, again, guys, in the 2-tiered programs is our DaaS clients get a little more access to support. When they come in, they get a one-on-one call with me where we build out their business model and what we call the Trojan Horse offer call. They get access to that, that DaaS launch book with lots more resources. So there's a little more support, resources, and coaching in DaaS than Incubator. And those are kind of the different reasons why somebody might jump in one or the other in what I've seen in most cases. So I just really wanted to start with that and just kind of clarify that right off the bat. Again, redundant for a lot of you guys that attend a lot of my workshops, but I have to cover it because I always get asked and we always have new people jumping on. Now, again, right off the bat, something I like to share and give to you guys each week are some resources that, especially if you're not in DaaS and you haven't been on these workshops, you probably don't already have access to. So again, whether DaaS or Incubator, if you're looking to resell at all, to take this data and resell it, and again, this is going to be much more applicable to DaaS and building out a full sales process, but this is the document I built and I share and I give to you, clients each week on this call. I'll go drop the link here in the chat in a moment, everybody. In terms of the best resources and exactly what you need to go sell, or close DaaS deals, data clients, right? And the exact 8 resources and the exact blueprint to do that. So again, a little document showing you the whole process, a tutorial going over that document and explaining it. This document showing you some of our current creative ads, email, messaging, LinkedIn messages, et cetera, that we use. Numbers 4 and 5 on my screen, guys, are the 2 scripts that we recommend and that I used to initially build out this sales team and our, Audience Lab data company. So number 4 being your triage call framework. Number 5 being your actual strategy session or your demo call. Number 6 is certainly a resource that I highly recommend people use in their demo call, and that is the pitch deck we give you guys that, again, this has nothing to Audience Lab. Hold on. Let me try to find out who that is. Hold on a sec, guys. Did I find it? Okay, cool. Let me go back to screen share. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, number 6, the pitch deck, which again has nothing branded to Audience Lab, guys. That's number 6 on my screen. That's 15 or 20 slides of, a great pitch deck that we built out that you can go use to go sell this and go pitch this to people. Number 7, I go in a little more depth, especially for the Incubator clients that haven't seen that Trojan Horse offer video or haven't had a one-on-one THO call. Those guys specifically. Number 7, showing you some more resources and strategies and best practices on how to go pitch this, how to price this, extra tools or revenue calculators that you can use in the sales process to forecast what's being left on the table. And number 8 is one I just added last week, guys, after about 5 of you guys asked me, hey, Ray, I'd love to see how you run a sales call. I'd love to go break down some of your live sales calls. So I put in a Google Doc with, I don't know, 2 dozen of my sales calls. And the top 5 are very recent. They're all from the last month or two. Sales calls that I ran and hosted myself. So if you guys want to see and break down my terminology, just kind of break down my whole style. I like to think, and I'd like you guys would pull from my sales calls, how I build rapport with people very good, how I relate very well to them, how I kind of mirror my prospects. If they're more professional and, laid back or more professional and analytical, I'll talk more like that. If they're more laid back and low key, it's very important in sales calls to kind of mimic your prospect and give them back the energy or the type of personality that they bring that's going to help them relate. If you can kind of, mimic and operate on a similar level, similar verbiage, right? When it comes to professionalism, we all know it's much different when we get on a sales call with a CEO than, a roofer, right? I mean, it's night and day how we talk to those people. Same on sales calls. You should kind of handle each one different. And I think most importantly is, gaining trust from the prospects so they actually take what you'll see on all my calls is at the end, I make recommendations and suggestions on next steps. That might be homework videos, depending on where they're at. That might be the next call, whatever it is. And if you build the right trust and you position that right, they're almost 9 times out of 10 going to make strong acceptance to your recommendations and suggestions and actually follow through and book them or watch the resources or whatever that may be. So again, just a little more examples of, some of my sales calls after anything you guys ask for, I try to create, and that's going to go into the next resource I'm going to cover real quick, but I just went over this one. Again, if you're a DaaS client or you've had one-on-one calls with me or you've attended a lot of these workshops, you probably already have this. Either way, if you're new, you've never seen it, or you just didn't save it, I just now dropped it in the chat. So the most recent comment is the link to this document. So open it, bookmark it, copy and paste it, save it, whatever you want to do with it. But that's a great resource for everybody. Now, again, in terms of newer resources and something I just created recently due to you guys asking me, I think it was specifically 2 weeks ago, Ganesh, I don't see you on this call and I always butcher his name. I think he asked and another client asked. And again, Incubator clients, this might be a little overwhelming and you might not be building out this whole process yet. But my DaaS client specifically asked me for like a DaaS checklist. So Ray, when you come in and how you build your agency, how your most successful clients, and you guys may know, do some done for you agencies over the years. We've worked with clients where we built their whole agency. They pay us to build their data agency and all they do is like close deals or they actually build the clients, right? But we do everything for them. So even in the done for you accounts, this is a little different, do it yourself to done for you. But what I've done is broken down in a step-by-step basis what I just said internally, our best DaaS clients, and what we do for our done for you clients. And to, again, guys, not all of these will be applicable to every client, to all of your processes, to what you're doing. That's why over here, there's a little checklist for yourself to say, yes, I've done this, no, I haven't yet, or not applicable. Maybe this isn't applicable to what I'm doing, to my process. So for instance, like create ad scripts, or number 9, B2C targeting for ad platforms. If you're not currently running ads and you're doing all email or all SMS or all calling or whatever, that's not applicable to you, obviously. So you would kind of go over that. But again, this is just a really quick breakdown of everything step by step that we do. So really quickly, just to reiterate, have we already chosen what Trojan horse we're using? And guys within our DaaS program and get access to the DaaS launch book, that will make a lot more sense. But Trojan horse 1, just real quick, that's identity resolution. Are we just selling super pixels? Are we selling Trojan horse 2, identity resolution with retargeting, meaning I resolve the identities and then I run ad campaigns or the email remarketing or what have you? Or am we doing Trojan Horse 3, the match rate optimization and mixing in market audiences? Are we just going a la carte and selling in-market audiences? Are we selling in-market audiences or lists plus reactivation? So what are we really working on, or what combination? Make sure you put together your stack and make sure you know what you're going to market with. Then you should identify your target vertical, right? Am I going to solar, e-com, home services, right? Not to say you can't have more than one, but you should always start with one, get results in it, and then branch out to more if you're looking at doing that. But think to yourself, as I'm kind of saying, these guys, think to yourself on the other end, have I done this? Have I focused on this? Yes or no? That will be, very, very helpful. So just so you guys know, I'm going to drop the link to this in a moment in the chat for you. This was designed for DaaS clients and normally only gets sent to DaaS clients. If you're an incubator, you think this is helpful and you attend the workshops, you'll be the only incubator clients that really get access to this. This isn't something I provide links to in my YouTube replays or when I just speak with, regular clients. So I always have extra bonuses no matter what program you're in, and certain links that you'll just get if you attend live. But whatever I give out to everybody, like the seller resource, this document, if you ever watch my replays, I always have that document in there. So you guys always have access to it if you lose it or what have you. But the DaaS checklist, I will drop the link here momentarily. Cool. So now that I've chosen my offer and my Trojan horse, and I've identified my target and my vertical, now I want to start to write out my messaging. Is that for me a combination of these? Is it one or the other? Am I starting with email and ads, VSL? Am I doing LinkedIn messaging? What am I doing? Let's write the proper messaging. Then you want to sub-brand your messaging to that vertical. Again, speaking the lingo of that niche or industry. Am I more professional and white collar? Am I more, blue collar and, maybe I even drop in a couple F-bombs. What type of market am I reaching out to? How to speak their language and sub-brand your hooks, your angles, and kind of your terminology, and sometimes even your cadence when you're speaking to that specific vertical. Then now that I've written them all out, number 6, I'm going to actually create the ads, emails, and scripts. Then we dive into creating a VSL, which we do in what we call our eco framework. So guys, anyone that's newer to us are not familiar with some of our sister company or our initial company's terminology. ECO stems from our PDOX brand, and ECO stands for engage, assess, assign, call to action, and obligation. And it's an overall framework or script that you can build out to use in your messaging process, especially if you're doing something through Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn, Messenger outreach, et cetera, et cetera. But those scripts are also applicable into how you run ads, emails. So again, you'll see in quite a few of these, especially the ones I think people might not be familiar with, or people that haven't been through any of my PDOX trainings or terminology. I tried to drop a example of the script in the worksheet, or down here you're going to see tutorials going over it. So anything I know that's not covered in Audience Lab, guys, that again is previous lessons or terminology or from a sister or parent company, I made sure to drop the extra resources and trainings right in here so you guys can understand them. Number 8 should be relevant for all of you guys, whether you're reselling or using it for yourself, and that's how to get proficient at building audiences. So when you come into our platform and you get access to school, within school, you can go into classroom, then you can go into get started, and you're going to see a tutorial on building audiences. You're going to see building custom audiences. You're going to see testing audiences. That's how you get your competent baseline foundation. To become more proficient, you want to attend the office hours workshops. Have Jaden run you through the best practices. Have him see the audiences you're building and see if there's a filter you're missing or a parameter you could add in to get better targeting or a larger audience, right? We want to become better and better at this. If we're just competent at building audiences and then we get these lists and inject them into our own or our clients' campaigns, we're probably not going to see great results. And sometimes you might even see a drop off if you build a half-ass list. Just like if I'm competent or half-ass at running Facebook ads, they're probably not going to convert or compete very well with my very proficient competition, right? So, that's a good analogy. Within Facebook, you got to be very proficient. You got to be great at your creative, great at your angles and hooks. You got to be good at targeting, and hopefully, the companies and the businesses that are using a first party or in market or private data source are going to do better with ads, and that's part of what we go through here, right? So, number 8, get proficient at building audiences. You go through the trainings, attend the workshops, get one-on-one support if needed. We give that to our DaaS clients, etc. Number 9, again, more specific to clients running ads and ad campaigns for their clients, while understanding the B2C targeting for ad platforms, and then you would do your ad campaign launch, again, if that's applicable. Email launch campaign, whether running ads or not, we should be doing email in addition to or separate from, I recommend, and we should all know this, the more avenues that we market through, right? Ads, email, SMS, LinkedIn messaging, whatever, the more avenues or channels we can hit, the more likely we are to actually reach that person, the more likely we are to get a response or to get engagement or interest, right, in our products. In most of the ads, we've seen success, especially to start. We've seen the best performance with embedding the data into client ad campaigns, starting with lead forms initially. Now, again, where applicable, you might be for a business model where lead forms don't even make any sense, then that wouldn't apply. But again, generally speaking, we see the best results and the best overall quantity and cost per lead when using lead forms in our ads. What do we want to do from lead forms? Well, obviously, we want to turn that lead into a generated appointment. Then we walk through how to do that. Once we generate appointments, how do I run a proper triage call? And using what we call our knowledge gap script. So I gave the full lesson there of understanding what knowledge gaps are, how your knowledge gaps transition into your messaging and your scripts framework. Then the one right below that, line number 14, assign the frame and book call. Now, again, I don't want to confuse people. If I've just done a triage call, why am I booking a call? Because how I recommend you build out the sales process and what we see work best is a 2-call process. So assign frame and book actual sales call or demo call is what that's meaning. And this shows you the exact process for how to build that out. And again, that's covered in the seller resources doc in more depth, where I give you the actual scripts and frameworks, right? Then we're probably going to want to send out our VSL after we've created a booking. So that's why earlier we were writing scripts and copies and VSL, hooks and angles. So by the time we have started booking calls and generated appointments, that should be ready to go and launch. So first we write our scripts, we go back through any edits, see what's working, what's not, and then launch, right? Use the pitch deck to present and close, which again is included in the seller resources document. Then for all of our DaaS clients and resellers within school, we have access to where you can go get access to our contract payment templates that you can use for your contracts, whether we're doing kind of a proof of concept campaign or just more on a, what's the word I'm looking for? SOW. Just a total encompassment of the work delivered. If we're going on monthly retainer, whatever, we have the different contract templates built out for you guys that are reselling. What we recommend is going right from a sales call. I'm on line 18 now, just so you guys know, right to the onboarding process, right? We shouldn't be taking somebody's money and rolling them and say, hey, check your email. Within the next 48 hours, I'll be sending over some information and next steps. Like, if that's the case, why don't I just expedite that into building it into a welcome pack with a link I can send him right now? Or while I collect his money and am talking about the onboarding, why don't I just click the link on my screen and go bring it up and book his onboarding call? Anything to do to have them taking the next steps and already moving forward into the onboarding process is going to help a smoother customer journey, going to help with buyer remorse, going to probably help with chargebacks, just all those things. And then we just get paid, continue to build out our own MRR DaaS agencies, and fulfill. The way we're going to fulfill is installing pixels when it applies, is being proficient, building audiences, pulling lists, embedding that into their marketing. Maybe we're doing the remarketing, embedding it into their ads, into their emails, into their campaigns, all of those things. So I wanted to go over that first. Now let me go drop that link right in the chat. Yes, Georgetta, you just mentioned, can you have that doc? And that doc right now is the last comment right there in the Zoom chat that I just went over here. A overall thorough DaaS client checklist that you guys can utilize. And again, I put a couple example columns, but create your own and go through and be like, hey, have I created a Trojan horse yet? Yeah, I'm really focusing on in-market audiences and reactivating the data. That's what I'm focused on. Have I picked a niche or industry? Yeah, I'm going solar, right? Have I started to write ad copy? No, I haven't yet. I really just picked my niche and industry, right? Go through and start to do these and start to, set yourself up for success. So I'm just going to go back and put these all as blank again. I don't know if that it really matters. It's just my sample form anyway. You guys can download, make a copy, go and edit and do whatever you'd like on your own side. So before I get in the last thing I want to cover and teach and go over in more of a lesson format, let me just stop and check the chat real quick, guys, see if there was any questions or anything I can answer for anybody. And as I'm doing that, if you guys have any questions regarding anything I've talked about here in the first 20 minutes or anything to do with sales that you'd like me to cover, drop a 1 in the chat and I will call on you and you can just unmute. And I will call on your question. So what is a lead form, Georgetta? A lead form is a type of ad you can run. So once you go in with Facebook ads and it asks you to create an objective, it's like, do I want to create an awareness campaign? Do I want to do this? Hold on a minute. That's some other background noise. And it'll ask you the different types of, it'll show you the different types of options and campaigns. Now, what I want to do, generally speaking, is a conversion campaign via a lead form. So when Facebook asks you what type of campaign you're running, conversion, engagement, awareness, I usually go with conversions and then I usually go with lead forms as the opt-in. That just means we're going to give them a form once they say, yes, I'm interested in hearing about your product, your offer, your data. We're going to have a form for them to fill out that will pre-qualify it. Right? And the form might be like, what niche or industry? Are you currently running money on paid ads? Do you have a marketing budget, right? Whatever you want to know to make sure that you are pre-qualifying and actually getting the right person onto a call. So hopefully that makes sense, Georgetta. That's just a quick little overview. But a lead form is just one component or aspect within your Facebook ad, Google ad. It's just, one format you can go. And again, right off the bat, just off cold campaigns to generate awareness for a new product, conversion campaigns that lead into lead forms do perform the best. Again, that could be an outlier. Like I probably wouldn't do a lead form if I'm doing like a high ticket back end 10K offer. I would probably want to use more of an application form, which is much more in depth than a lead form. So again, lead forms apply to a majority of industries. I probably don't use that on real high ticket offers or where I just want to go straight to a sales call. Now, that's not what we want to do in most cases. You guys might think so, but from an ad, we usually don't want to go to a sales call because we want to have some resources or videos in the meantime, VSL being a great example, product overview video, whatever, that does some educating along the way. Make sure that this is the right person, that we're highlighting the problem that they're facing, that we outline the solution that we offer and it is in alignment with this person before they book the call. So I don't like going from ad to a strategy session. Every offer I've ever done that is the recipe for disaster at scale. You're getting so many unqualified people. You're taking up 45 or hour-long sales reps or business owners' time on sales calls with people that don't even qualify. So again, another reason I recommend the 2-call process. At worst, you send them to a 15 or 20-minute triage call. You disqualify them there and you don't waste a lot of time. But still, I want to go through and pre-qualify and educate throughout the process. As I cover and talk about more, if any of you guys go through my full seller tutorial when I talk about that micro commitment process. Each one of those 6 steps is kind of educating them a little more. It's making them more sophisticated in terms of the problem that's going on in the industry, the solution you offer. And by the time you get to the end, to step 6, when they get on that demo call, they should be in the buying pocket, educated, and you could dive right into that call, really diving right into what they like about your product. And you'll see how that all builds out. Where can we find information on Trojan Horse 1, 2, or 3? So Todd, really quickly, are you in Incubator or are you in one of our DaaS programs? If you can just fill that out in the comment for me, I can direct you the best way. Garrett, really quickly, can you unmute and ask me your question?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I'm starting reaching out to ecom next week, and I want to do an offer of running a test on our data versus their, current data, their current model, their current Facebook ads or Google ads, whatever it is. I
Yeah.
just wanted to get your thoughts and insights on those types of conversations. Have you had them? What are some key points that I could talk about, or anything related to our data and speaking on that level?
Sure. Can you just repeat the beginning of that one more time? I just had a distraction. Just repeat the first couple sentences you said.
Yeah, so I'm starting next week to reach out to e-commerce companies
Okay, e-commerce.
to split test Audience Lab data
Got it. You're good
with
from there.
their
That's all I
current.
really missed. I heard the rest.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. I missed it. I knew you said something. I just had something in my ear. Great. So yeah, I have done those. I've had those conversations. I've run campaigns and we've built out agencies and a lot of deals like that. And if we're just going initially to try to show them more of a proof of concept, like, hey, I want to show you this data can outperform your existing campaigns, I like to set about a 3-week expectation. What I've noticed in most of these, more specific, I'm glad you asked ecom because that's the one I've actually seen the most experience and the most actual tangible results in this. Within 21 days, a lot of times we might see results before that, right? And if we do, great. But I want to build the expectation of, hey, Garrett, this is what I'd like to do. You're currently spending whatever, 5 a month on ads. You're seeing this many leads and your cost per lead and acquisition is here. I would like in the next month, if you would split test that 5Gs, 2,500 to the way you're doing it, 2,500 toward ads with my data, show you after 21 days the difference in cost per lead, cost per acquisition, and profitability of your ads. And if we can show you that it outperforms, would you be willing to do business and work on a performance basis going forward? That's my
Okay.
conversation, like in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. All right. How do you feel about performance based over just straight up, here's the cost of our data?
It depends. If we're just doing in-market lists and audiences and no like pixel and resolved identities and not a per lead type of thing, I think you're better off just going on kind of a base rate, like X amount per list, X amount per month with this many lists included, right?
Right.
But I would go on more that kind of basis. Now you could go the first month, hey, there's a $1,000 setup fee, and I only charge you per list as you go. So let's say they need 3 lists that first month, you charge them 500 per list. Then after they've got results, you might want to move to a more retainer model. Hey, we're now going to do a 5K monthly retainer where you can get up to 10 lists per month. So you can structure them in any number of those ways, and usually they evolve. Proof of concept the first 3 weeks, performance based the first month or two, and then they're happy to go to a retainer once, because they start to spend more in performance basing just buying lists. Once they start to need 5 or 10 per
Right.
month, I move them
Yeah.
more into a retainer model that suits them better. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. A lot more value on their side.
Exactly. And you're building up great equity with them in terms of trust because you're delivering results every step of the way, and you're not staying with the same pricing. You're restructuring it to give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Yeah. I did this with a current client. I split tested out our stuff, Audience Lab data. It has improved. It has done better. I actually did it with 2 clients. So I'm ready to, I have the confidence
Great.
now to light up the outreach. So it's just with my clients, I can just do whatever I want, right? I don't have to have any structure. It was just like, guys, I'm doing this, right? So I was like, 3 weeks is kind of what you see. Okay, would you
Yeah,
say
that's the expectation I like to set.
5,000 minimum ad spends?
Yeah,
Pretty
I
good.
mean, much less than that's going to be really tough
Okay.
to show a
Yeah,
great result. You
yeah,
might
because
see
the guys
minimal
I
results.
tested on are $10,000 a day advertisers, so it was like, you know,
And
got quick results on it, and it worked pretty well. But
it's like a lot of
5,000 per
AI
month.
things. If you think about it, with data, the more fuel you're throwing into it, the more ad spend, the more you're going
Yeah,
to see results, the more people we're going to get it out to in your list, the more times we can hit them repetitively, right? We all know usually people don't buy or interact on the first engagement. Second, third, fourth, right? How many times do we need to hit them before they move? So the bigger ad budget keeps hitting them, keeps retargeting them. It's just all of those things compound. So you're 100% right. When I have data clients spending 10 to 100,000 per day, and anybody in that type of budget, it sees crazy results pretty quickly.
yeah, and I'm going to use the
But once you get
pixel
under
because my
5K, it's tough.
yeah,
It's tough, Gary.
yeah, my DaaS, I have unlimited pixels, so I'm gonna use the pixel as a value add. Hey, I'm gonna throw the pixel on your site too. I don't care about the cost of the pixel at all. So
Yep. That's a
that's going
great
to be
little
my
bonus.
value add.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great bonus. And the one thing
Yeah.
I would say, and I've seen with some of my most successful, especially talking about big brands, I'm not even talking about other agencies that resell it, just people that use the data and see results. What I've seen from especially bigger brands, bigger spenders, 10 to 20% of their full ad budget should go back into data, right? So once they're above 10K a month, take 10 to 20%, $1,000 to $2,000 should be
Yeah.
going into a data source, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So you can kind of always make that equation depending
Yeah.
on the budget they're spending, but that's what they should be. And again, right, if they're spending, if we are talking with a smaller client spending 50 to $100 a day, is it still worth it to buy a list and embed it for $500? Probably, but is it really worth it? I mean, I'm not saying shun away those people, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, guys, as you get to talking with more brands that are spending, thousands per day, tens of thousands per month, etc., that's what you should be quoting them. Hey, you should be getting anywhere between 10 to 20%. Are you a more conservative guy? Let's go 10%. Are you more aggressive? Let's go 20%. And that's what you should be reinvesting into your data sources.
Yeah. And just to give everyone some context, because a lot of times you don't believe it until you hear it. My one client didn't bat an eye at $2,000 for one audience. I upload it every 2 days. I download an audience, just do it myself with my morning coffee because it's so much data transfer. I just upload the list and that's it. It goes everywhere where it goes. Didn't even hesitate at $2,000 and they were like, "Oh, I actually felt I actually shortchanged myself probably a couple thousand on it." But
Isn't it funny how that works?
yeah,
I
it's like
recommend
son of
people
a
just
bitch.
start off selling them a base of $500, and
Yeah,
you guys look at me like I'm crazy sometimes. That's what I'm saying. People are willing to pay a lot more. There's
yeah,
no reason you should ever be selling one for less than $500 per list. That's my
yeah,
bare minimum. There's many industries where it makes sense, and you could be charging a couple grand per list or per audience.
yeah. It's large. It's like 25,000 people every 2 days in a custom model, like really specific shit. So, and their audience doesn't exist on Facebook anywhere. You can't demographic them in any
Yep,
ad
you can't
platform.
target them
So,
directly, right?
yeah, $2,000 for them. They were like 22 grand for 25,000 people into our HubSpot, our ad accounts, and all that. They
Where do I sign
hired
up?
they
Yep.
hired a HubSpot tech just to
No,
deal with the data that I'm sending every 2 days,
that's
which is
awesome.
crazy. So
Yeah,
just it's possible. Just gotta find the right people. That's all. So
thanks for
thanks for your
sharing, Jay.
time. I
I appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. Thank you very much. I mean, since you've been in the program, I've seen your kind of evolution. You already knew what you're doing kind of when we first talked, but how much you've learned the platform, the sophistication, how much better you are at building audiences as opposed to when you first started.
Yeah,
That also makes a difference in the results you're going to get for your clients and the confidence you have when you go talk about it.
yeah. I want this to work in the absolute worst way more than anyone else in the entire program. Believe me, I'm
Love it.
13 years doing this, running ads, Facebook, SEO, big giant clients. I'm DaaS. I need to be a DaaS agency uploading into Google Sheets. That goes to automations every 2 days. If I did that for 30 people every 2 days, you can call me retired.
You'd be a happy man. Yeah. And you can get there too. Good work, man. Okay, next,
Thank you.
Bill. Bill, can you unmute and you had a question?
Yeah, kind of a two-part question. Number one is, I think it was you, but during training, I can't remember when it was, but there was a mention of a large client. I believe the brand was Callaway, or it was in the sport category.
Yeah, no, I've,
And
I've
I
worked with
have
them. Sorry, carry on.
okay. So what I need is sort of a kind of a best practices approach. I've got a client in the financial space that's spending $1 million a month just in Google Ads. And this is sort of a layup for him. But this is a client I have a relationship with. I did business with. He was an executive at Citibank, and I'm like the sort of like the dog chasing the car. The car has stopped, and all of a sudden, I've got to present, and so it's an opportunity I don't want to blow. So I wanted to, and we don't have to take the call,
I get it.
go through all of that now. If there's a resource or kind of a framework that I can use for these bigger clients, and maybe not, but I feel
Well, I'll
like,
walk you through. So, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I probably did mention, I think I did mention in one of my THO videos, because that was a client that I've worked with very closely. I helped him throughout the time with this deal, and then I checked back into him to see kind of how it evolved and grew. And that's probably what you're talking about. So, yeah, I'll talk about that a little more real quickly. So, this was a guy that came in probably about 18 months ago now. And when we were talking, and as you know, number two, I think it was, or number three on that DaaS checklist, I just said picking your vertical, right, or your industry. So I was talking with him about that, and he's like, Ray, I'm pretty set on like sports apparel. He's like, that's my expertise, that's my background. I've always kind of sold sports equipment. I was like, that's great. This guy's name is Joe. I was like, that's great, Joe. But just think really quickly, right? If we work with a sports apparel company, let's say we work with Rawlings, right? And on average, we sell a $6.99 baseball. You got to drive hundreds, thousands of leads to that site to make a return on investment. So I was like, let's think of something in sporting goods, sports that you're into that has a more high ticket offer. I was like, Joe, just off the top of my head, I'm not a big golfer, but my friends that are, every time they go on a golf website and order a new club or a shirt, they're not spending less than a couple $100, right? Minimum. So he's like, that's where he's like, okay, I think I do want to go golf. So he just took an issue. I mean, he fucking ran with it, but I gave him some stuff, just got his brain going. He reached out to Callaway within 5 or 7 days and just said, hey guys, are you open having a discussion on how I can make your marketing dollars go farther by using in-market first-party data? I just want to show you something for 15 minutes, and if it doesn't make sense, we part ways as friends. They hopped on that call, okay? At first, he just started off just like I was talking about with Garrett. This deal evolved very similar to what I was just saying to him. Joe started off with a proof of concept campaign saying, hey, Callaway, at this time, I want to say they were getting something like 80,000 visits to their large website per month. They're getting a good amount of hits. So he started with the super pixel. He's like, hey, I'm going to throw this on. I'm going to resolve your identities. I'm going to show you after 30 days. I think he did it for 15 days. I don't like to make my proof of concept more than 15 days unless it's in ad campaigns. And I like to set the expectation for about 21 days. But the pixel, usually within 2 weeks, we have good amount of data to show back. But regardless, whether we did it for 15 or 30 days isn't a real big difference. But what he showed them is, hey, after my pixel's been on there for, let's say, a month, I've resolved 26,000 people, names, emails, and phone numbers, and the hash or the advertising profile of people who visited your website. So the marketing director for Callaway's name was Daniel. Joe went on to say, so Daniel, what do you think is better next month? Spending more money in ads to hit a cold audience, or spending some retargeting ads to hit warm website visitors, people that have already heard about your brand and people we can pick right off where they fell off your funnel? The guy's like, okay, cool. So now we can do it this way. I can just sell you the leads back at X amount per lead, or you can pay me a little more and I can get the leads and I will do the marketing for you. Now, in this case, luckily for Joe, probably the better, Callaway has their own marketing department, believe it or not. They're a pretty big company. So all he has to do is pull the data and fucking give it to him, and they go run all the campaigns. And he charges them per lead or resolved identity he gives them back. Then he started doing their in-market audiences. At first, he did a pixel deal. Then he sold them on in-market audiences. So he went from proof of concept, $0 first month. Let me show you what I can do, and then we'll talk compensation. Great, Joe. We're down for that. Callaway. Second month, based on everything you're looking for and our performance-based compensation, it worked out to about $5K per month just selling the leads back to them, warm resolved identities. Third month, he started to resolve identities, selling them back, and building in-market audience. It turned into a total of about a $15,000 a month count, and it evolved to where he's pulling so much data. Last time I touched base with Joe, he is charging Callaway $40K a month just to provide data to them. Now, he's still on the Audience Lab 5K a month plan. So he's paying us 5K a month, and one of his clients is paying him 40K a month. So he's making an 8X ROI. He still has more data, and he's still working with other clients too. I don't even know what the hell he's making off of that. I really just worked with him on the Callaway deal, but that's kind of how it evolved. Proof of concept, a month, no strings attached. I just want to show you what I can do. Now that I show you what I got, these leads, do you want to buy back? Do you want to run marketing to these guys? Cool, let's work out a comparable rate. And then next, hey, now that I've already shown you results with this, let me show you what I can do with your ad campaigns by injecting in-market, first-party, intent-driven data to lower your cost per lead and acquisition. And then we work out so that's kind of how it evolved. There's no real framework or SOP. That's just kind of, that's the way it evolved. The same way I was just kind of recommending Garrett go through making that deal. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it's super helpful. I just wanted to get a really quick run through from somebody who had their hands on the deal. So I think having that kind of frame of reference is really important. The second part I wanted to ask you about is just to go back to the base rate. I've got some clients that are really focused on email. And really, some of these clients are the challenge with them is how segmented and super targeted they are. So that's part of the
how segmented and super targeted. You mean the audience they're trying to hit?
Like just focused on, for instance, chief compliance officers. That's it. I want to go over healthcare plans, chief compliance officer. So super, super narrow target. And I'm trying to, I want to be helpful.
Narrow target also leads to higher quality, though. It means you're talking to the
Sure.
right people. It's very easy to get the right person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So two-part question.
Yep.
Number one, the base rate. Should I be going? I'm a little reticent about selling just lists because, again, with the dog chasing the car analogy, a lot of the clients you sell them these lists, they're half the time they're not going to really know what to do with the list. But this is kind of an entry point where you're just selling them the data as kind of a proof point, proof of concept about the
Yeah,
value.
and what I say is that's always kind of a two-part. You got to have a conversation with a client, and I always kind of do it like this. Hey, Bill, if I'm to pull you this list and sell you this list for $500 and give this to you, do you know how to weaponize this and monetize this? If the answer is no to that, I actually want to do that in-house and charge them a higher premium. So,
Right.
hey, I'll sell you the list for 500, then I'll also do the reactivation and the email for another 500 per month. If they say, yes, I know what to do with it, we know how to monetize it, we know how to weaponize it, I would probably rather do that if we want a low fulfillment model agency where we can just sell lists. So we really got to know, what do you have internally, Mr. Client, in terms of marketing capabilities? Do you know what to do with this if I give it back to you? Do you know how to monetize and weaponize it? If the answer is yes, base rate, $500 per list. Dude, if they buy it and they know what to do with it, they have the capacity, there's no way they're not using it. Trust me. Everybody you sell these lists to, if they have the internal marketing department and they know how to add the list, and they're going to use it. They want to see it's saving, because a lot of times when we give these lists to somebody within the company, we end up working with their media buyer, right? Or their admin. We don't work with the business owner very often in terms of who actually implements these lists. So when those guys get better results, they're saving their own job and their own ass. But a media buyer wants to see better cost per lead and acquisition for his client, right? You know what I mean? So I don't think you have to worry about people not doing it unless they're not capable or competent. And that's why you have that question first. Do you know how to actually weaponize and monetize the data? If the answer is no, you might have to take that in-house and do it for them.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. So, Todd, the answer to your question, if you aren't in a DaaS program yet, you wouldn't have received our DaaS launch book that goes through that in depth. What I can do is I can send you over the Trojan Horse offer ebook document that goes through those in depth. I can just DM to that you right after the call. I just don't have it handy. I didn't have it up or on my screen. I'm not going to go search right this minute, but after the call, I'll pull it. I made a note right here in Chicken Scratch. Todd, Trojan Horse offer doc, DM it to him. So I got you there. Chris, I see you can unmute. You had a question from Chris V.
Yeah, I have a question. So, being new into this and seeing some of the data that is coming out, my question is that I got realtor friends and insurance friends that are begging me for leads. Now, when I do searches, I'm in a town of 150,000 people, and I think
Okay.
149,000 of them are realtors. So, what is the best way about going about this? Because both of them are begging for high quality leads. They're willing to pay, whatever it takes, but I don't really want to charge them until I have proof of concept. And then, how do you kind of know where to start off, in this DaaS?
Yeah. So what's the specific question?
I
You
guess
said like where to start with this. Are you talking about like how to sell it or how to fulfill it?
how to fulfill it. Selling the list is the easy part, and they
Okay,
know
okay.
what
I'm
they
just
want.
making sure we're on the same page.
It's yeah, and are you fulfilling like with what Garrett said? I mean, are you fulfilling for certain price per month? You get all the leads I can get on a list, or is this going to be like 500 leads or 10,000 leads? Because again, we're in a smaller town, so I can't always get realtors 1,000 people trying to sell their house. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
There's
car
realistic
insurance,
numbers.
you can do that kind of stuff, but it's like those type of niche stuff that gets a little bit more specific and tough.
Yeah, and I think even what you're talking about in smaller towns, realtor leads specifically, it's not always about the quantity, it's about the quantity and the exclusivity, right? A lot of realtors are out there buying what's called shared leads. We all know that from other brokers,
Yep.
from leadless companies, and they'll go sell those lists to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. What you can do is build them in market, intent based, certain parameter driven, exclusive leads that are only given to them. So that's kind of your standout position. Now, when it comes to the fulfillment, to be honest with you, Chris, and I have to do this when I'm not the best person to answer, I have to defer. I don't fulfill. I don't build a lot of audiences. As a co-owner of the company, I am probably one of the slowest and wonkiest guys in there using my platform because that's just not what I do all day. I work in the front end. I work with my sales team. I work in the front end of ads, marketing, messaging. It's just not what I do. What I covered earlier, though, going through that DaaS document. Now, it sounds like you're already pretty competent. You already went through the basic tutorials of building audiences, testing audiences. What I would recommend is one of two things. Either attend office hours and ask that specifically and have them walk you through it, because the two niches and industries you just mentioned are two of our most lucrative and most prevalent in terms of the amount of data we have in our system. Real estate and insurance are really two gold mine industries if you can build the proper lists. Jaden, specifically on my team, is a real good expert at that. So what I'm going to do is, again, I recommend attending office hours and asking there. But what I'm going to do after the call, Chris, I'm going to send you over a booking link direct to support where you can get a one-on-one call with one of my audience builders, and they can kind of walk you through this and answer that in a more specific fashion, on your own time, just in case you can't attend a workshop.
Awesome.
I'm just
And
not
just
the
to
best
go
person
back
to
to
answer
the
that for you.
sale.
I really don't know on the fulfillment side. It's just what I do all day.
Okay, yeah, and I understand that. On the sales side, so how do you start your pricing, or where would you kind of start? Like I said, it doesn't take very long until you have every one of your realtor and insurance friends trying to get your business. And they explained to me the lead sharing thing, and they said it's like piranhas. The leads come out, and you got 10 different insurance companies calling the same guy asking him if he wants insurance. They said it's ridiculous, but they also said they're paying, $4 to $12 a lead. And I don't know if they're getting dozens or hundreds of leads that are just crap leads and they're still
I
paying
can already
it,
guarantee
or
you they
if
are,
they're
because I used to do
getting
that
a
for a
lot
living
of.
and I used to buy those leads. They are getting hundreds and thousands of crap ones. They're getting ones that people bought a policy last month and they're still knocking on their door. They're getting ones that 6 other realtors or insurance agents got. So yes, 100%. What you can do there, you can actually charge a little more of a premium to build exclusivity. So hey, let's say you're my realtor, Chris, in Minneapolis, right? Chris, you're the only realtor I'm going to sell these lists to in Minneapolis. I'm going to charge you a little more of a premium for exclusivity. I'm going to get you exclusive leads and guarantee you no other realtor can get these zip codes.
Okay. Yeah. And
And
then
that
I had another question there, but I was thinking of when I was listening to you, but I can't think of it right now. And then how do you structure pricing? Like, because I'm not 100% on the quality that I'm giving them yet. I don't want to charge them a super premium, but I also, if all of a sudden they just start taking off and these leads are great, it's a lot harder to go up in price than it is to go down in price.
certainly is. It certainly is. And I understand the apprehension or the skepticism saying, I don't know the quality. I haven't really seen the results or proof of concept. I totally get it. But what I can say, number one, I just mentioned those two industries. We have proof of concept throughout hundreds, if not more clients. And you're using the same exact database. So there is proof of concept.
Yep.
Whether you've had it or not, it is there. You just have to make sure you're building the right audience, which again, I'm going to send you some more tools and the link to help with that.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question?
I think it was just more of the pricing, where do you start
Again,
in
what I would
pricing?
probably start with, especially if you're a little apprehensive, is hey, what I want to do is I want to get a $1,000 setup fee. That's going to be for my time to get with your team, to get all your information, to understand your ideal client, to build out these lists. All of my hard costs that it costs for the first month, just a one-time setup fee. We're going to go on performance based and going forward, where I'm going to charge you X per list. Again, Chris, I never like to start below 500. So that's where I would start. If you start seeing great results, you probably can't go up on price with that existing client. I wouldn't feel right about it either. But you'll know when you go get the next client, a different zip code, you could probably charge a little more per list. So that's kind of how I would look at it. I would get a one-time $1,000 or so setup fee for the first month. Hey, this covers my hard costs and lets me eat and covers my time while I'm building your list. Then I only charge you on performance as you need a list. You know what I mean? You need one, 500. You need another 500, etc.
And the model, and I'm done after this question, but the model of sending these guys lists is the same that you guys have been doing in your test agencies. Because like I said, insurance and realty, they're begging for it, so they're willing to pay if I can give them the quality. So
The models
that's
are 100%
what you guys
the
were
same.
doing.
The models are 100% the
Okay.
same. You just need to figure out what do they want the actual data? Do they want it all on a spreadsheet, or do they just want the hash data and they just running in ads? So once you know what they want, we can provide it either way. But yeah, it's exactly as we show you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Georgetta, you said, can I please have that sent too? Can you just specify what that is? I think I've mentioned a couple of things here. I don't know what you said in the comment. just specify whatever it is that you wanted sent. I don't know if you were talking about the support link or the Trojan horse doc. I've mentioned a couple things for a couple different. Oh, I'm sorry. You said there the doc links for Chris. So okay, so you want both of them? I can get them over to you, Georgetta. I got you. I didn't even see your message below. I was still reading the one above that. So Trojan horse and support for Georgetta. Sure, I'll get you over that information shortly after the call here today. And guys, just so you know, I'm sure most of you guys are aware, but I always post the replay of this within the hour in the group. So if there's anything I went through too fast, you want to watch it back, yada, 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 the replay is always going to be posted there. We do have a few more minutes, and I don't see any more questions here. William, DaaS checklist. So DaaS checklist, William, is already actually in this thread. I'm not sure if you got it yet, but the actual DaaS checklist, let me go drop it again. I've already dropped that one in here, but let me go drop that again for you. Oh, I see one more from Nick there. So, William, I know you sent that message to me direct, but I'm just going to go drop this back in here for everybody to see. Again, this, what, did that go through right? Hold on a second. Yeah, that's right. That last comment in there is the DaaS checklist that I was covering. So you had mentioned earlier there, Nick, sorry, I missed this one. During proof of concept, do we give them the data to use or just show them in a Loom video? So during proof of concept, I do not give it to them to use. That's when I come back and talk compensation. So I'm sorry, it varies. Proof of concept with the pixel. Let me specify. Let me do these separate. Proof of concept with the pixel. I'm going to set it up on their website for free. I'm going to get it running and firing. I'm going to let it run through the duration. Let's say it's a 2-week trial. Then I'm going to show them, hey, I've resolved this many name, email, and phone number of your bounce visitors or of your anonymous traffic. Would you like to buy these back and market them? So no, I'm not giving them to them until they say, yes, I would like them and I would like to market to them. Now, if I'm doing proof of concept with what I think is going to be a larger brand and more about lists and ad campaigns, yes, you have to give them the data up front if you're going to do that because you have to see a return. If I'm not giving them the data to embed in their ad campaigns, there's nothing I can run a split test against. So hopefully that answers your question, but proof of concept. And again, I wouldn't do that as a DaaS user and use some of my lists without getting any money up front unless I knew it was likely going to be a whale hunt or a home run. I wouldn't do this for every small little mom and pop spending a couple grand on ads. I wouldn't do those proof of concepts. But on the larger whale clients where there's skepticism, the amount of ad spend, how big their market is, hell yeah. I'll waste 3 weeks of pulling lists and using data to prove to them that I can get better results if I know it's going to turn into a long-term $5,000, $10,000, up to $40,000 a month account. So that's kind of the way I look at it and the way I differentiate those, Nick. Cool. Last thing, a couple minutes I have left. Let me cover one more thing that I wanted to cover. You don't see past recorded calls in the classroom for members. Where do you? So my recordings, and I don't know if we have, great question, Todd. I honestly don't know. I'll go in and we should have like workshop recordings. I'm just talking about like in the actual thread, right? Where you see all the posts. I just go drop DaaS workshop. So if you just search all of our posts and type in DaaS sales workshop, you're going to see all the recordings pop up. We might not have it in our own. That's a good thing. We should have that done. And let me go look on that. But I just go back and I'll drop a post, just like any post I drop in school. Hey, today's DaaS recording. Here's the link, yada, yada, yada. So you can go search DaaS recording in the posting forum and it'll show you all the ones I've done recently. So you don't have to scroll through forever. Cool. Last thing I want to cover, well, we have a few more minutes here, guys. Wasn't sure if I would get to this or not, and I always want to make sure I leave room for the Q&A. I think last week we ran short on that because I was kind of doing lessons too long. But again, I had mentioned earlier, right? I help with the sales of this. I do a lot with the copywriting, the marketing, messaging, front-end email campaigns, ad campaigns, so on and so forth. So something I want to cover really quickly that I think a lot of people don't teach or focus on, and I don't remember if I brought these slides up and taught this on any workshop. If I have, it was only once, and it was probably a while ago. Normally, I'm teaching this stuff in some of my other acquisition programs. But basically, really quickly, let me run through this. What is the holy grail of client acquisition? If nothing else, this one strategy will make it so you really never have an empty pipeline again. And what is that one thing? It is the ability to take somebody from unaware to problem aware. So a vast majority of the market, and you guys have all seen like this triangle or different people running ads where they're like, hey, 17% are in markets, clicking and looking for you and ready to buy today. 36% are somewhat looking for an active solution, and 36% don't even know you exist, don't know that they even have the problem you suffer from, right? And everybody as business owners and as advertisers We're all going after that top 17% that's in market ready to buy, and we're all competing for them. That's what a lot of us are trying, and that's a lot of people's whole business strategy when it comes to advertising. Now, if we can hit the people and create messaging that shows them, hey, maybe you do have this problem, and we take them from unaware to have that realization. So for instance, let's say that I can't grow my business, and I think the reason is I don't have a Facebook ad budget, right? That's my problem. Well, I might send messaging saying, hey, Chris, did you ever think maybe it's not that you don't have a Facebook ad budget, but that you haven't actually built out an offer and validated it organically and gotten results from emails and using Facebook DMs? What if I could show you, Chris, an organic method to build your offer, to validate it and scale it to consistent 10K months, which at that point we would have a budget for Facebook ads. Right now, I've just changed his train of thought from my problem is I don't have a budget for Facebook ads to, oh shit, my problem is maybe I didn't build the right offer and validate it organically. So that's one example off the top of my head. We could do that for anything. My Facebook ads aren't performing up to par. Well, what do most people think? I need to go swap out my creative every 2 weeks. My angles and hooks suck. Yada, yada, yada. Hey, Chris, maybe you don't have to go revamp creative. Do you know that some of our best campaigns have been running for 18 months straight with the same creative? Because what we're doing and what we're focusing on is the targeting. You think your ads aren't performing because of creative or because of copy, when odds are you're still using native in-platform Facebook targeting, which is limiting what you could do. What if I showed you how to target your real ideal buyers by using in-market intent-driven first-party data, so you could really, reach out and so you could ultimately get a lower cost per lead and cost per acquisition in your ad campaigns. Now I just reframed him from creative and copy and angles and hooks to shit. Maybe I never focused on the targeting and the audience side of things. So anytime we can see somebody's having a problem in the market and they are dead set on, my problem is I don't have a budget, my ads aren't performing because of creative, whatever, we just take them and reframe them and take them from unaware to, hey, now I'm aware that it's this problem. Once we have made them problem aware, no matter what we say next is going to be considered the unexpected solution, because they came into this conversation thinking a totally different problem, which means they were looking for and hearing totally different solutions. So pretty much no matter what we say next, it's going to be considered an unexpected solution. And what happens when we do this with a prospect, when we're like, hey, this is the symptom or surface level problem. Now I'm going to reframe you and show you what the root or real problem is. Now that you're aware of that, whatever I inject next for my solution, my data platform, in-market first-party data, lists, pixel resolutions, whatever it is, right? Now when I recommend that, their brain kind of goes like this, right? Goes, hey, what you just said totally made sense. Nobody's really said that to me before. How do I find out more? And they want to find out the next video, the next sales call, whatever it is, right? Your next call to action. So guys, this is something a lot of people overlook. And a lot of our clients as agencies are all looking for that top 17%. What if we could show them a craft messaging to hit a more mass market and just make them aware of, hey, this wasn't your problem. You're actually struggling with this. What if we showed you this solution? Oh shit, that might help my problem, right? So very quickly, this is the triangle I was talking about. And this is a real higher percent. I mean, this is an exaggeration where I say at the top where 99.9% of people focus, but this is where a vast majority of business and advertisers focus. Is the top of the pyramid is people most aware, actively looking to solve the problem, aka your perfect client. Now, the blue and yellow areas are where you need to be focusing on. These people are either problem aware but don't know about the different solutions, or they're totally unaware and we want to turn them into problem aware. So let's say the yellow in here would be unaware. The blue would be problem aware, but not totally aware of all the solutions and the different offers out there. And then top would be most aware. That's problem and solution aware, and they're actively shopping and typing keywords and looking for solutions, right? But maybe as business owners, as advertisers ourselves or for our clients, we want to focus more on this part of the market that no one else is hitting and just craft the right messaging to get them to say, oh shit, Chris, that is the problem I'm having. You're right. And I never thought of it that way. Let me look into the solution, right? And then people are open to it. So again, being able to transition a prospect from unaware to problem aware is where really all the money lies, because there's a lot less competition and a lot larger market. I mean, you have both working for you, anti-saturation and larger audience, right? Like that's what we always hear about with business owners. My audience is too small. My market's too saturated. Yeah, that's because you're focused on all the people looking to buy today rather than looking how to create your own customers through effective messaging, right? So again, why this is so important. In a perfect world painted by the marketing gurus, your dream prospect is actively talking about the exact problem you solve in an open format, making themselves easy to identify. We all know that's not true. It's very, very rare that people are actively and openly telling you your problem. Usually we need to dig in and do a little bit of an assessment, insight, right? We need to find out from them exactly what's going on. So again, guys, that's just a quick little thing. While I had 2 or 3 minutes left before this call expired, I didn't have time to kind of go through all the slides. I only had a few more on it. I'll pick it up next week if you guys have more questions on this. But I just wanted to give you a quick little overview of understanding from unaware to problem aware, and just really thinking about that in your own business. Do I only go for the top percentage? Have I ever tried to reframe people? Have I ever tried to craft messaging to make people problem aware? If the answer is no to all those things, think about opening yourself up to it, because that's where a lot of the money is. And I just wanted to run through that exercise really, really quickly. Cool. Copy their exact sets for the custom audiences. So I don't see that. Let me just, how would we run a split test on half their ad spend and our methods? So basically all I mean by running a split test on their ad spend is half of it would be with our methods and our data, right? So again, in Garrett's example, or what I had talked about with him, let's say the client is currently spending $5K a month on ads. I would just say, hey, Mr. Prospect, are you open to next month when you spend your $5K? Put $2,500 to what you're currently doing and $2,500 toward the method that I want to show you, and use my data. And then can we compare results at the end of the month? So that's what I'm saying there, Georgetta, is like, we're just want to split their ad set automatically. With the half that is using our ads and our methods, it is inherently going to be different than whatever method that they're doing for themselves internally if they're not yet using a data provider. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I saw a couple people just pop in. So guys, we tried to fix all the calendars. I know globally, there's still people that are in different time zones. We had daylight savings last time. Ganesh, I saw you just hopped in. Unfortunately, you hopped in at the end of this. This was 3 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern, which is just ended. So for anyone that hopped up late, again, I know we fixed it all within school to be reflecting the right times, but I know there's still a couple areas or different locations globally where the times are still off. So sorry for any confusion. If you joined late, I will have the replay uploaded within the hour within the school community, so you guys can go check it out. And the people I mentioned, Chris, Todd, Georgetta, I will have some resources DM'd over to you before the end of the day. All right, guys, appreciate your time, appreciate your collaboration, and thank you for some of the great questions you brought. Garrett, thank you for chiming in with some of your examples as well. Totally appreciate you, my man. We'll catch you guys all next week. Same time, same badge.